Good afternoon, everybody. This is Lara with your daily Monday to Friday update for Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP. In Friday's video, I was talking about how Elliott Wave rules are absolute, and you cannot break an Elliott Wave rule even by the tiniest fraction at the smallest time frame, or your Elliott Wave count is invalid. But I said that there's one Elliott Wave rule that isn't absolute and involves an area of subjectivity, and I asked you to let me know in comments if you knew which one. A few people had a go at trying to answer the question, and one person did get it right. It's the barrier triangle, the BD trend line specifically. So I found an example of a barrier triangle that does this here on $yen. The barrier triangle here is in microwave B. It's a regular barrier triangle because B does not move beyond the start of A. The BD trend line looks essentially flat to the eye, and that's how the rule is written. The BD trend line should look essentially flat to the eye. What that means in practice is D can move very slightly beyond the end of B. As long as that looks essentially flat to the eye, your triangle is valid, your Elliott Wave count is valid. And so this involves a small degree of subjectivity. In this example, D has moved 0.03 beyond the end of B. So this would not be valid for a contracting triangle, but it is valid for a barrier triangle. So, congratulations to that person who answered that question correctly. If you knew that, then you really know your Elliott Wave rules. I'm going to note a little pennant pattern may be forming on Bitcoin today. Pennants and flags are reliable continuation patterns, and to calculate a target, you take the flagpole from the pennant or flag and add that distance to the potential breakout point. The best performing pennants and flags complete within 15 sessions. They're always continuation sessions. They are short term and relatively reliable. Now, they don't always work, but they work much more often than they fail. So I've calculated the flagpole from this low to this high, and I've added that distance to where a potential breakout point would be tomorrow. Now, if the pennant continues sideways for a few more days, that target for the pennant at 52,388 may change because it may need to be recalculated. In order for a breakout from a pennant, we need to see an obvious close above resistance. And for an upward breakout, we should have support from volume so that we can have confidence in it. If we see a close above this trend line and there isn't support from volume, then I may have to redraw the resistance line for the pennant. But if we do see a close above that line with push from volume, then I'll use the target. If this happens, then look out for a potential backtest of support, a little pullback, before price moves up and away. That would be very typical price behavior around a resistance line. Most pennants and flags are accompanied by declining volume, and that's what we have here. Price is moving sideways while volume declines. Absolutely typical, normal to be expected behavior. On balance volume for Bitcoin now has a nice range, and on balance volume is at resistance here. I'll expect a little pullback and downward movement when we have the current session, which so far is forming a red candlestick. When we have that data added to on balance volume, that'll create another pivot. Then the resistance line will be essentially horizontal, and it'll have 3 tests, and it'll be held for a couple of weeks or so. So it's starting to gather some reasonable technical significance. In conjunction with the resistance line on price for the pennant pattern, we'll be looking for breakouts above these resistance lines, and if on balance volume breaks above resistance before the pennant does, it'll give us advance warning of the direction of a breakout. ADX is now well out of extreme territory, declining, indicating no clear trend. With no clear trend indicated and price swinging from resistance to support in a really narrow range, and stochastics swinging from overbought to about neutral just above the 50 mark. Currently stochastics is just below the 50 mark, so I'll expect an end to the downward swing here and an upward swing to develop. Now that would expect that price is probably going to break out upward out of that little consolidation, the pennant, sooner rather than later. So let's keep an eye on that little pennant pattern. I still have the same 2 Elliott Wave counts for Ethereum, and this is my main Elliott Wave count. I'm expecting a little pullback for a low degree second wave correction to complete as a zigzag. A, B, C. Minuet wave C must subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. Today I've added some labels for that. Subminuet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 has to move lower, and it must meet all of the core Elliott Wave rules for that structure. Now, it is possible to do this and label minute wave 2 over down here as a really brief shallow zigzag, but I think this looks better. So that's how I'm going to label it. So just so you're aware, an alternate that I can see that I don't need to chart for my own purposes, I just move the degree of labeling in this first move up 1 degree. This is an alternate wave count for Ethereum. It just has an awful look. Minute wave 2 just doesn't really look right. Combinations with triangles are really unusual, and the lower edge of this channel is breached by a lower degree second wave correction. This isn't a base channel, but it's pretty close, so I think I'm probably just going to discard this. It just doesn't have the right look now. At the daily time frame for Ethereum, we had a small ascending triangle with really strong resistance at 2,100. Price broke above, tested resistance at 2,400, has come for a back test of support 1, 2, 3, now 4 times, and support at 2,100 is holding. Now this suggests that my alternate labeling of that main count, just moving a degree up and seeing minute 2, complete at this low here for the 18th of December, that could actually be correct. If support at 2,100 continues to hold and we see a break above resistance at 2,400, then I'll expect that the second wave correction was over and a third wave at multiple degrees is underway. Overall, price is moving sideways with declining volume, normal behavior during a consolidation. Ethereum has a small range for its on-balance volume. When today's session, if it does indeed close red, and it's 5:45 in the afternoon, so it's probably going to close red. When that's taken into account, there's going to be another pivot here for on-balance volume, so I'm going to sit this line up here and not a little bit further down like this, which would suggest an upward breakout of resistance and a bullish signal, because we're going to have another pivot. So this resistance line it'll have 4 tests when today's data is taken into account. It's got a very shallow slope. It's kind of a little bit long held, so there's some reasonable technical significance here as well. So we're starting to get these ranges for on-balance volume again. We've used this before, guys. We've been here before, and we get these signals, and they are really, really good. So let's look for a break above resistance for a bullish signal. The support line, however, has only got the minimum required 2 anchor points you need to draw a line, so very low technical significance, not long held at all. I wouldn't want to draw it like this because that slope is too steep, so it reduces technical significance. So that's how I'm going to draw the support line for on-balance volume. Let's see if we get further tests of resistance and support, increasing the technical significance of this range, and let's wait for a breakout and a signal. For Ethereum, ADX is nicely declining, out of extreme territory after the previous upward trend reached extreme. Currently there is no clear trend indicated, and so a model of stochastics plus support and resistance would expect stochastics to continue down to oversold and price to continue down to support, or because stochastics didn't reach oversold at the end of the last swing, it could turn here. We could see the end of a downward swing from price here and the start of an upward swing. I have only the one Elliott Wave count now for XRP. I had a second Elliott Wave count that was invalidated yesterday, and so now this is the remaining Elliott Wave count. I'm going to add now a target for minor wave 2 to end. I'm going to say 55 cents is most likely. That is where minute wave C would reach equality in length with minute wave A, and that is the most common relationship between A and C waves in a zigzag. Minute wave C may only subdivide as a 5-wave motive structure. Minuet 1 is a really good looking 5-wave impulse. Quick little zigzag for minuet 2, now moving lower for minuet 3, and then a little 4th wave correction lasting a day or so should unfold and may not move into wave 1 price territory above 0.5940, and then finally the final little 5th wave possibly down to the target would complete a 5-wave impulse for minute wave C. Minor wave 2 may not move beyond the start of 1 below 0.4456. I don't expect price to get anywhere near that point at this stage in the wave count. And just remember, the bigger picture for these wave counts is a 3rd wave at intermediate primary and cycle degree on upward. These are extremely bullish wave counts for XRP and Ethereum. At the daily time frame, support for XRP continues to hold and is quite strong at 58 cents. Yesterday's candlestick completed with a very bullish long lower wick. Resistance is a little bit weaker now at 62 cents. It's been broken several times, so each time it's broken, that reduces the technical significance. If it's broken again, I'm probably just going to remove it and maybe push resistance up to here. about 70 cents. We need to see a break above resistance, about 70 cents, initially 62, or a break below support to have confidence in the direction of the next trend for XRP. I expect an upward breakout at some stages more likely after a little bit more downward movement. If price can break below support at 58 cents, then there is very strong technical support in the 54 to 55 cent range, and that fits beautifully now with that target I've calculated for the Elliott Wave count. As price is moving sideways, volume is declining for all of them, normal to be expected behavior during a consolidation. On balance, volume has a really weak range for XRP. We're not going to get a great signal from this one, but I'll keep an eye on it and I'll keep developing that range if it does continue sideways. ADX is now very close to moving below 15 and setting itself up for a strong trend. It's not there yet though. It's still indicating no clear trend. So with no clear trend, the model of stochastics plus support and resistance expects overall price to find support here and end its downward swing very soon. If stochastics moves a little bit lower into oversold, that could be the end of the downward swing and the start of a new upward swing.